And while doing that training need assessment, I got to know like how important it is to know the business side before you give any solution, be it be the training solution. But if you don't know the business context.
This is the time 2012-16 phase. Facebook was really taking over the earth. So those things also crept into learning systems, the same kind of a need. And then, we reached this, let's say, medieval era, just 2016 to 2020.
First of all, you have right set of people, because the technology is now changing at such a brisk pace that you should have right set of people.
If you have to scale, please identify places. As for example, in learning, are you still doing your onboarding more manual? Are there opportunities where you are doing the old way the workflows are being done?
Similarly, while you are developing the courses also, it is very important that you understand, you become more empathetic. Because then only you will be able to realize.
Hello everyone and welcome to another insightful episode by Stratbeans. Today, we are talking about a shift that is becoming increasingly important in the learning and business world. That is the shift from learning delivery to business transformation. For years, learning services were often seen as execution support. That is only building content, implementing platforms, managing training programs, and ensuring delivery. But today, the expectations have changed. Organizations now want learning to drive adoption, productivity, customer readiness, workforce transformation, and most importantly, measurable business growth. So our topic for today is delivery to transformation and how learning leaders evolve into business growth drivers. Joining us today is Mr. Gajendra Palni, Director of Learning Services at Cognizant. Gajendra brings deep expertise across learning services, delivery management, consulting, and transformation. In his current role, he has helped establish learning services as a trusted partner for implementing learning platforms, enterprise authoring tools, and developing training artifacts for customers. What makes his journey especially interesting is the evolution from ensuring seamless delivery to driving business growth. Gajendra, we are delighted to have you with us.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
We also have with us Prasoon Nigam, CTO and co-founder at Stratbeans. And Prasoon brings a strong technology and product innovation lens to this conversation. As one of the founding leaders at Stratbeans, he has been closely involved in building learning technology solutions that help organizations scale training, improve workforce readiness, and connect learning with measurable business outcomes. Prasoon, it's great to have you joining this conversation as well. Gajendra, let me then begin with your journey. You have seen the learning services space very closely, from creating e-learning solutions yourself to running large learning services team, and now leading the learning service at Cognizant. When you look back, what were the biggest turning points in your journey from being hands-on with e-learning delivery to becoming a transformation leader?
Hey, thank you, Tanusha. So let me give you the three turning points that I consider are like very important turning points in my journey. See, the first one, as you said, I am someone who started as an individual contributor. I was myself working as an instructional designer. So the first turning point came when I was asked to lead a project. So before that, I was just responsible for what I am supposed to do. I was given a work and I used to complete that work with quality, on schedule. That is what I need to bother about at that time. The moment I became a project lead, I became responsible for the quality of other people. I became responsible for ensuring that the whole project goes on time. So that was one turning point for me. And in fact, that turning point kind of increased the respect of my supervisor at that point. Before that, I didn't realize what kind of pain my manager is going through in ensuring how he's getting the work done. And it's a difficult task to get work done. I realized it when I myself became a project lead. And The second turning point, I would say, Tanusha, came. I was limited to instructional designing, and I was limited to doing some projects. But those were like, I would say they were not very broad projects. So the second turning point came when I got into broader aspects. So it is like I was asked to do requirement gathering, what we call a training need analysis in our learning parlay. So I was sent to do training need analysis for a mining company, and that mining company had offices in 3 continents. So they were in Australia, they were in Africa, and they were in North America. So 3 very different, broadly spread geographies. So I did the training need assessment, and while doing that training need assessment, I got to know like how important it is to know the business side before you give any solution, be it the training solution. But if you don't know the business context, the utility of what you are developing, where it will be used, how it will be used, what kind of impact you can bring by creating something as simple as learning. And I still remember, it was a mining company, so I had to go to the mines also. So I remember, getting into mines, which often used to get flooded with rainwater and all that. And there were boards of beware of crocodile and all that. So these are like very vivid memories that I have in my mind. So that was a good experience, broadened my horizon, my thought process. And the third important turning point of my life is because whether till now I was on the delivery side, like I was delivering, I was gathering requirements, I was consulting, but I was not selling anything. And what happened, my boss, somehow he kind of saw some knack in me, and he said, Gajen, why don't you move to the sales side? I was very apprehensive because I never thought selling is my, like something which I can do. I was never been a selling person. So I was very apprehensive, but my boss gave me confidence. He said, no, I am very sure you will do very good here. So, that's something, now I kind of, if I look back, that is also something which then I did similar stuff to my team, because as a leader, it is also your responsibility to see some knack in your team members. My boss saw that in me, and he asked me to come to the sales team. And then after 2 years, I guess, I was heading that sales team. So he saw that in me, and I was heading the sales team. And eventually, because I moved to sales and I had delivery experience, eventually I went on to head the whole learning services function, because I had both delivery and sales. I have seen both sides of it. So I would say, Tanusha, these are 3 turning points of my journey.
I think very wonderfully explained, and all of these anecdotes or examples that come in your way of your vast career, I think these are something that you will always cherish, and these would be something that you will always pass on to your other colleagues. And
Certainly.
So, Prasoon, I'll just come to you for this question that from your experience of building learning technology solutions, how have you seen the customer expectations evolve? Because some earlier people simply asked for a learning platform or content delivery, but now they want a broader business impact ecosystem. How do you see that in today's time?
So, I'm still stuck with Gajen's this whole journey. I'll first reflect on that, I mean, the fact you go to 3 different continents, and do training need analysis, this whole different things you must have seen, right? I mean, did you find that all these geographies have their very different training need? Is there a cultural dimension also? Well, that was one question in my mind. Second, I will ask after you answered this one.
Certainly. Very different geographies. And I don't want to sound negative for any geography here, but I will tell you, when I went to Africa, when you go to any, developed geography, like you go to North America or you go to Australia, there, they automatically have a lot of respect for all kind of labor. Like even the training requirements of people who are working in mines, shafts, people will automatically think that they need to be covered. But this was not the scenario when I went to Africa, Prasoon. And because I insisted, no, I will go, and they need to learn few things also, because even person working in the shaft, they are using system. Maybe there was just one system. They used to come there and maybe ask the supervisor if they want to requisition a shovel or a hat or something. They have different requisitions, but they need to know that much system. Somebody working in warehouse, they need to know that much system. So I went there and captured their requirement also and created training, and they were so happy about it. That's another good you ask that follow-up question. That's also an impression I carry in my mind till date. And when I was coming back, they gifted me that caterpillar jacket, that the miners wear.
Well, yeah, that means something. And second question is more intellectual, which is, did you finally see a crocodile?
No, unfortunately, I wanted to. I am a nature lover, but I could not see it.
All right. Yeah. So heading back to the question that Tanisha, you talked about. So if I were to act like a historian and break down the various phases that I have seen, starting with this Stone Age, which I'll put around 2008. I'll talk about each of the era that I have seen. And Gajendra, feel free if you have anything that strikes your mind and any comment that you may have at any point. So 2008 era was this era of Stone Age, maybe when everything around learning used to be each customer coming to us, and mostly there is some compliance need. It was a compliance celebration of compliances, different anti-bribery, you have IRDA based, so many compliances were there. So in those days you had heavy flash technology based content. I don't know whether people remember that magical technology, but that time if you had the Adobe Flash knowledge, then you were on top of your e-learning visual game. And it was known as desktop learning even then, computer based training. So those were the era. And
I remember, sorry, I'm just going back in memory. I remember there used to be an IM manifest file, and then you had to manually give that structure, create the structure and put your SWF files. FLA was the like the source version, and the published version was SWF, and we used to kind of create our whole e-learning on action script or something.
No, so true. I mean, IMS manifest still gives me shivers, and for good reason. You would know things won't work on LMS those early days, and learning was essentially compliance, onboarding, and typically people will come with a PowerPoint conversion, and learning was considered as a support function very clearly, and the only metrics everybody wanted to see. And I remember client coming back to us and saying that in the LMS we are not seeing this thing as it's coming as pass but not completed. So that was all the fight and discussion. The caveman discussion was around that time. We just invented fire, so the only thing that we had invented was completion rate. So that is one phenomena that I saw. And there were those many popular LMSs which now have become casted in stone now, but mandatory courses were there. You had to track certificates, and it was LMS and learning was mostly driven by HR and compliance, and it was very administrator centric.
Yes.
So that was the Stone Age. Yes. Then as that stage moved on to, let's say, 2012 to 2016, which let me call it as pre-medieval stage of e-learning, which was marked by, from a e-learning point of view, a lot of social learning. Mobiles have just become smarter, and it was all about porting your learning to mobile, and those were the discussions. And while that was happening, a big rest in peace moment happened, where Flash suddenly demised. Yeah, and Steve Jobs kind of rejected Flash on iPhone, and then it was totally killed. And this whole HTML5 world emerged, this 2012 to 25.
In fact, that phenomena gave me some business. Yes. There was like a flurry of customers who would want their Flash-based courses to be converted to HTML5-based courses.
Yes, so, some money was made there as Flash died. People made some money. I'm also, while I missed it, but yeah, some business flew. So that's how the world works in technology and elsewhere.
Yes.
But then because HTML5 came in, there was some liberation, because though Flash was cool, but there's so much of things to be done only in Flash, and but responsive learning came. Now people started saying, can you fit those e-learning to actually take care of the form factor that mobile provides? Yes. And then the thing that I loved the most was that during the same era, rapid authoring became popular, started emerging as a new star.
The Articulate brought it the very first time with the Rise and all that, and then I think a lot of other players.
In fact, Articulate brought it as a plugin to PPT.
Yeah.
So it was a PPT plugin that was Articulate. So you would open PPT, put that plugin, and then things will happen around that. So those were the very early days. And but what had really happened, because of rapid authoring coming in, now you don't have to code by hand. You didn't have to know Flash, and like you mentioned, Gajendra, you don't have to go and pacify that IMS manifest. A lot of those details were taken care of by these things. In that pre-medieval age, the trends were around. People started saying, can we have game-based learning? Because if you remember historically, that time the main proponent of gamification used to be this guy. I'm forgetting his name, but he used to be a big guy. He's talking everywhere about gamification, point, badges, leaderboard. So that guy was very popular then. So everybody was about, can we have some badges, points in the LMS system? So those started happening. Those days were still, if you remember, videos were still a bigger entity. So if you have to put video, you have to suffer a lot. Suffering were high in 2012 to 2016 kind of a phase. So that era we saw. And in that same era, I remember it used to be, to design the entire e-learning was a painful and difficult process. We never knew it then. We thought that's that, probably that's how it has to be done.
That's the way.
That's the way.
Yeah.
And even to localize, Gajendra, you remember, we had to really make sure, even to translate, we had these vendors across geography. But at that time, people were nice, because you had to wish well, ki your voiceover artist, his throat remains well. So we were very, taking care of everyone. Otherwise, there have been situations where the Taiwanese vendor, we had Taiwanese language vendor, that person had a heartbreak, this lady, and she stopped working for a month, and I was almost about to have a bigger heartbreak on the business side with my client. And so those were the days, as I'm recalling. But yeah, fun days, marked with mobile and rapid authoring revolution and social learning on the LMS front. Why can't people learn together? Because it kind of matched the other trends that were happening. This is the time, 2012-16 phase. Facebook was really taking over the earth. So those things also crept into learning systems, the same kind of a need. And then, we reached this, let's say, medieval era, just 2016 to 2020. Where people started asking for learning experience platforms, So learning should be an experience. And because people were spoiled by Netflix, people were getting experiences. Again, the parallel technological revolution, social revolution always had some shadows or impacts on the way people expected the learning to happen. So in this era, 2016 to 2020, a lot of shift happened. People started saying, can you recommend content rather than, and at the same time, there's a big reason. If you see 2016 and this era, many of the shelf course companies started coming in, Pluralsight, Skillsoft of the world, and many such companies. And they were doing,
many MOOCs also came in at that time, like maybe
the word MOOC. Yeah, thanks for reminding.
Before that, yes, they started coming in.
So the MOOC revolution happened, especially around a lot of universities started engaging on the MOOC side. Companies like Edcast, LinkedIn Learning, they all started.
Udemy and Coursera and all those came maybe slightly at that time only.
Yeah, Coursera, Udemy, pretty much in the same here and there they came. And the big change that I saw was that people now started saying, I don't want to see 1 hour course. Please stop giving it to our audience. That was the first time I remember a person from a European country was our client, and she mentioned that why don't you make micro learnings for us? And the first time I actually heard that word, and then we started going to 5 minutes learning, searchable knowledge bases. So good fun era. At the same time, from the LMS point of view, newer technology like XAPI came in, learning stores came in, which were supposed to replace SCOM. But unfortunately, till date, nobody has been able to really displace it as much. So Gajendra, you would also remember, right? There was a lot of, it was like a necessary evil. Everybody didn't like SCOM, but that was the only thing available and agreed upon.
Yes.
And then, after that, I would say the golden age of e-learning happened, at least from my point of view, running a LMS company and content company, when COVID struck 2020 to 2030. COVID compressed nearly 10 years of adoption that could not have been done in 18 months.
Everybody went for that self-paced learning kind of model, because classroom and all those, even that virtual training, self-paced learning, they become very popular because physical training became impossible. So that taste of that, I agree.
Yeah, all the self-paced learning and even self-directed learning. So many concepts started, coming in at that same time. And I had an interesting story there. So when COVID started, and we didn't know what the future would be for us, we don't know how long it will go. And we had these, very beefy servers running, Gajen, in our backend. So I called my cloud guy and I said, see, it's COVID, everybody is at home. So why don't you see and share the report and let's pull the servers down, why to waste the resource there. So in the evening, he called back and he says, Prasoon, we need to, up the server one more level.
Increase this. I thought so.
My immediate response was, is it the denial of service? Because we got through somebody doing a DDoS on us, denial of service attack on us. So I said, is it again that denial of service? So, but why would you scale? They said, no, usage has increased. So for the first time, I realized that people are at home and the companies, and it is good. They're mandated, go ahead and, finish your courses. You don't have anything else to do. So, it was beautiful because whatever courses were lying, crying for, audience, come on, read me, consume my content, happened in those 18 months. Like, Amazon has this big bang day or whatever, this. Where,
Big billion days.
Big billion day, big billion day. So it was probably
Prime Day or something also happened.
A Prime Day so in that small window, so much consumption happened. And that was good news for us because that means in COVID, our utilization will be high. We'll still be billing our customers. So that was this pandemic acceleration, as I call it. So that phase was actually a golden age that happened for, 2022, 23 kind of things stabilized and we got out of it. Now came this era where we are in today. And it's all about AI assisted this, AI assisted that. Even authoring tools have now really to catch up and they have to do they have to really utilize the AI power that is within. But it is magical. For all of us in the industry, I think it's a boon, it's a magic for most part of it. All the painful moments of, localization, translation, assembling your courses, getting ideas, that writer's block, sitting in front of the thing and thinking how to make this content. You may not have let's say you may have a certain size of ID team and you may be limited, but no more, So this is the era we are in right now. So this phase is all about native learning and AI personalization, customers asking for, how can you, rather than just limiting to completion, can we create in your LMS matrices, which can tell me impact of my, let's say, the teams which are there. So I think that was my walk, a little longer walk, I'm sure, but I had to cover from 2008. So, but my long walk towards where we are today, and Tanusha, so that is
totally.
where I stopped.
I think very creatively explained. I think that I will add on, because I wonder how many of our audiences would actually relate to the Stone Age, or how many of them are the ones that have been, emerged during the COVID era. Because for people like us, COVID era was also the time when we got exposed to so much of content, even global content, and that really shaped up the world how we are seeing it today. Moving on, Gajendra, I will again request you to go back to the memory lane and be a little bit more nostalgic for us.
Tanusha wants me to live in past. He's taking me back and back again.
We want your experiences. What's all that in the Pandora box that you have collected over the years? So my first question would be like, because you mentioned you had hands-on experience, you were designing the content yourself. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced while developing the e-learnings for your clients?
Okay, see, I will talk about my personal challenges. Maybe, if somebody else would have a different challenge. See, one thing that I see most challenging was lack of collaboration, or maybe at human level, yes, the collaboration was always there, even better than what we have today. But the lack of collaboration tools is something, the way we used to work. Now we have a very collaborative work environment. The ecosystem that is made available to us enables us to work in a very collaborative manner. So collaboration while conceptualizing the course, and I would say collaboration was missing on two fronts: how we conceptualize the course and how we actually develop the course. The collaboration was missing there also. Just going a little bit deeper, I will not take a lot of time on this. I know we are getting into lengthy talks, but that is what nostalgia does to you. So, like for example, in those days, while conceptualizing the course, and I'm talking on because mostly I was more related with technology trainings at that time. I had a little technological bent, so I was put into doing technology related courses. And I was doing one of the largest software companies on the earth right now. They were releasing some of their now very renowned products. They were releasing those products at that time. And it's a mandate, right? It's a regulatory compliance that while releasing the product, you have to be ready with documentation, courses, and everything for the user and the partner community. So we were like running against the time, like their release date or their launch date was fixed, and we were running against the time, and we were creating curriculum courses, and the SME bandwidth was like really scarce. Like maybe those SMEs were involved in development also, and for them also it's the timeline. Release date is as much as it is for me, it was for them also. In fact, in a greater way for them than me, like the actual product launch was dependent on them. So we will often like schedule calls. Maybe we'll go to those days we used to have those bridge calls. SME will come for some time, we'll ask some questions, and maybe we'll note down the answers, and then we will try to bring that whatever knowledge we could just note down, we will try to bring that to our curriculum. And if there is something we missed, something like like today I can just ping someone and maybe get some answer or something. That kind of novelty was not available back then. So perhaps I will have to book another call for further clarification, and I was not sure like when I will get that time. SME was very busy and all that, so little disjointed in terms of how we conceptualize the courses. And internally, even if we have put the whole source content is now with us, the way we develop the courses also. Today, I can just maybe start on something. I can have my reviewer simultaneously reviewing it, like whatever I have developed. We can put it at a common place. Everybody just working from there. So all those things were not present. And then there were like, I have created a storyboard. I will give it to a developer. The developer will create it, publish it, and perhaps maybe if the developer is in a different location. If the developer wants to send it to me for a review, he will have to, upload that course on some server, or, we used to call it FileNet or something. And that upload of course used to take hours. And then, somebody will be just sitting, and there was a designated person to upload courses. So, those were the challenges, like which I now foresee that, those challenges are no more there. Like the current generation don't get into those kind of challenges. So that's one thing.
Right. So I think just to follow up on that, because now we are talking about the present generation, and I would like to bring you back to the present that we are speaking about. I would like to really understand, what does it really take to run a high performing learning services team? So there can be different aspects like people, processes, quality, customer management, delivery discipline. So how do you see all of these aspects in your current role?
See, I would say you said how do you run a high performing team? So the team is the most important aspect, the people aspect. So you need to make sure that first of all you have right set of people, because the technology is now changing at such a brisk pace that you should have right set of people. And then on your part you should give them opportunity to do different kind of roles. Like my boss identified that sales snack in me. Maybe it is my responsibility to kind of identify strengths in my team. See, one thing is always look at people's strength and try to push them in the area of their strength. So then you will get better productivity from them, and it's a win-win. They will excel and you will get a lot of work done. It's a win-win situation, rather than identifying anybody's weakness. If you just identify their strengths and kind of if you can channelize their work in their strength direction, that is something which I would say is something which is very important. And another aspect is because we are in learning services here, the quality matters a lot. Like the kind of quality we deliver, we are often working on stringent timelines. So it is very important that we follow certain processes, we follow guidelines, we have like standards and all those things. So and I have personally done it, even if it delays your delivery on a specific day, but ensures that you don't deviate from your processes that you have set up. Do that, because in longer term it will definitely help you. Maybe you just take a shortcut today just to meet some customer expectation, to please someone. Maybe it will do good to you today, but in longer run it will spoil a lot of things. And what it spoils most is the mindset of your team. They know, then they say, okay, this is a process, but it can be bypassed because my boss bypasses it. The moment you say, no, I will take the hit, because they know that if some delivery is not going on time or you're missing some schedule, I am the one who will get it most from my seniors, from my customer. If I am ready to take that hit from them, then they understand that it's a very serious matter. It has to be taken seriously. So that mindset flows from there. So these are two things, Tanusha, that I feel are very important.
That really helps me understand the situation. But there's one more follow-up question that I'll come to you after Prasoon's. Just one quick question from Prasoon as well. Prasoon, from a technology point of view, what helps learning services scale without adding unnecessary complexity? So to give you some scenarios, is it automation, or is it analytics, integrations, artificial intelligence, of course, or better workflows? Or do you use a combination of all of these? So what would you suggest to our viewers?
So let's actually change the whole, if you see it from a very different angle, the very need for why you want to even scale, the intuition that why do you want to scale, if that is addressed well, if that is understood well, then every leader, everybody who's in this industry would get their intuition right, Otherwise you have this jigsaw of AI, collaboration, creativity. These words we are all fitting in, but if you get this bigger picture, so the basic question is the need to scale itself, what it is determined by. So I think answer is also not that difficult, but one of the answer I would have is that you want to scale because there is a client sitting on the other end who's gonna pay you for this delivery. So you want to scale it so that you can give more volume of work. So one is that when you say scaling, it is velocity. So you can give things much faster, you deliver faster, then the assumption is you get monies faster, good for the business. And interestingly, it has got a analogy with how cars function, because if you see car engineering, F1 races, they're all about very similar dimension, not same, but there again a great F1 car would be which can go at a high velocity. Now, if you need a car of high velocity, then you require drivers of that skill also, right? So that they can manage that. At the same time, there has to be safety, that you are scaling it up, but it has to be safe. Now I'll kind of swing back and forth between the e-learning, the learning industry, and this analogy, just to get some kind of a connect and intuitions. So the way you make anything safe is that you put in certain kind of assets, certain kind of entities within your car, which makes it safe. Same in our industry, because of this AI, there's a possibility of velocity. But at the same time, the safety comes from the basic maker-checker paradigm. If there is no human engagement and they just just pray to AI Lord to do the job, and which is happening actually, because a big change, social change also happened suddenly. So your safety comes from the fact that if people scale it and you don't have a checker system, then you're gonna, again, it's gonna hit you back. All the great material you created so quickly at the speed of light will just hit you back, and there will be safety quality issues, which we are seeing, this is happening, and that's a part of evolution. Third thing is that if you take again the same car analogy, there are two things. There is a potential energy and there is a kinetic energy. And again, I'll not bore you with the physics if you're not the person who likes physics, but the wisdom that we get is that we all senior folks have that potential, right? We have spent, let's say, 10, 20 years, so we know what are the things that has to be done in the business to execute those things well, those processes well. But then we need a team which gives us kinetic energy. So they may not have that potential yet because they are growing still in their dimension. But what has really happened is that even as you were talking about the high performance team, those are the two elements also, right? You need very good potential of the leader and a big kinetic energy. But thanks to AI, suddenly there's a competition with human being. Initially, all the kinetic energy was provided mostly by human beings while using these tools. But these tools have not taken over a little bit. Yes. And they're saying, you know what? Again, you become the boss. The people who are actually operators, now they should use their potentials and let the kinetic energy go to the tools. And that is a transition still happening because it has happened too quick. People are going to realize and align to that. And way to use that potential energy that you save as an operator in the technology is you use it for more creative angles. Like Gajendra and I were discussing once back, that 3D animation used to be very difficult to make, and it used to be very astounding if you had a use case where there's a factory environment and you have to show how certain machine is functioning from various angles and what are the security things, what are the various tools and levers around that 3D models, but they were very expensive. So now people should scale up. So the scaling is not just the business, it's in the mindset that people who are operators should be trained. They should also be coached, allowed to use their creative energy, find more ways of doing the similar thing, come up with more awesome outputs. So that's another kind of a scaling. But this was again more of an analogy driven. And Tarusha, I'll give you a more crisp business answer that, and which will kind of summarize my response to your question, is that there are basically 5 things that always have helped. First is automation, which again we have talked about. Automation due to AI. So if you have to scale, please identify places. As for example, in learning, are you still doing your onboarding more manual? Are there opportunities where you are doing the old way the workflows are being done with manual intervention? Bring automation to that. Second is, if in this era you're running a tool, let's say you have an LMS and your HRMS system, other systems are not talking to each other, then again there's a backlash because you are still, probably a medieval artifact in the modern world. So you have to ensure, enforce, encourage your vendors and the tools to talk to each other so that you have much better, outlay of what's happening and better decisions can be taken with much higher ease. Third is that, of course, a huge AI assisted workflows should be trained, should be utilized in learning if you have to scale up. Fourth is the analytics aspect of it. There's a shift in the pendulum now. The analytics, which earlier used to just look at activities, now has to shift to impact. And people have started asking it, our customers also, as they're scaling, they realize that completion rate is very satisfying, but doesn't give you anything really for the business part. And the last and the most important, with all this scaling opportunity, operational simplicity is what has to be looked at. You have to make, don't get, don't treat, you don't want to be getting into all the technology because it appears to be a rush. And if you go, and this is a treadmill which will only keep speeding. So if you keep running faster, you'll fall down. So the idea is while you manage all this technology, do it with judgment, with operational simplicity, bring AI when it is needed. And my last line is that I've been always talking about it, that I've loved this thing that AI should never be treated as it is a very bad, starter in terms of the food analogy, but it's a very good main course. So what is the main thing is the entire current business workflow. Look at it, analyze it, and then put all these automation integrations is how you prepare yourself for scaling, is what my answer would be, Tanusha.
Prasoon, I must say, Tanusha, I really like the way Prasoon kind of bifurcated potential energy and kinetic energy. Potential energy for the experience and context, and that comes with experience, and kinetic energy because this young blood, they can work faster, so because they are more tool savvy and all that. So nobody kind of differentiated till now.
He also came back to
energy kind of
starters.
perspective. So really loved it.
Then he ended up with starters and main course. So a great
Yes.
combination of all the things. So
Absolutely.
I'll bring you back to the point that we were discussing, Gajendra, in terms of deliveries and processes. So just we'd like to deep down onto the specific point, because we would also like to go in a certain direction where we understand how we are creating values for our customers. Because in our industry, everything comes with the pressure to deliver it fast, whether it's courses, platforms, rollouts, or client requests. How do you manage, or how do you balance delivery speed with transformation quality? Any thoughts on this?
It's a very good question, Tanusha. In fact, something on these lines is what, recently I have posted an article on LinkedIn, if both of you go and check. See, I will tell you my personal experience. I have been using AI, and what I was seeing, that because we are under so much pressure to deliver so many things, Prasoon, you, me, we have so many things in a day, and we have to work at a certain pace. And while maintaining this pace, and let's be very candid, and let's all of us agree that a level of shallowness creeps in. Right? You are not really deep into everything you are doing. So that shallowness perhaps sometimes results in, you're not delivering the best that you could have delivered. Let's accept that. So now that is something I would say, because we were working at speed, but with the advent of AI, I think that is the most important thing. Now you can be deeper, there is somebody who is thinking along with you, and even if you move to something else, that AI has kind of kept that context saved, memorized, and it can start from there. Like if you give the next prompt, if you give the next query, it keeps the previous context in mind. In memory, mind is the wrong word here, in memory, and works on top of it. So I would say, these are the ways, that, and then as we progress, this is something which will become even more broader. Now, now organizations are talking of compounding effect. For example, I am working on so many things. My colleague is working on so many things. Somebody like Mr. Copilot or Mr. Claude is learning from all the places, right? Everywhere. And next time when I will ask for some context, I'm working on doing some work, it will not just make use of whatever I fed into Claude or Copilot. It will also make use of what my colleague, because it's now kind of working at an enterprise level, and bringing context from so many places. So that is something which will allow us to work at a very good pace without diluting the quality or the deepness of the deliverable that we are supposed to deliver.
I think that is a wonderful point. And Prasoon, I would also like to extend this question to you also, because artificial intelligence, as we all have discussed, is everywhere in learning conversations today. So, from your perspective, where does AI create real value in learning platforms and services? And we just mentioned that it's way beyond than faster content creation or stuff like that. But we still have a lot more to discover, a lot more to explore. So, how do you see that evolvement coming up?
So let's first challenge the premise, like we did even in the previous question, that see, if you were in a university and a student, you are studying, then learning is probably your primary goal of life. But really, if you see in corporate, when there is this whole capitalistic operating system all around, nobody has hired you and paid you to learn. So there has to be a change again in the mindset that corporates are always been for performance. You were given learning because the end was performance. So now even before AI, I mean, the idea was that there was a huge revolution that happened, which was around performance support. Rather than making somebody learn everything, you have to stop somewhere and you have to make the person perform and learn on the way as you go, right? And it is so obvious and logical, right? We don't have to memorize each and everything. It's not a university setup that you will be scored on how much you remember. Let's say, take an example of a sales agent, sales guy who goes in front of the customer. He needs to know about certain things, basic question that the customer is going to ask him. Suppose the customer wants to buy this credit card, platinum, Suvidha credit card, whatever, there's so many variants, and then he should be able to answer basic. So let's call that he should have that critical amount of knowledge. But if say there is a very tricky question, okay, if I take Suvidha card, but I have this other card, can you compare this card? Now there's no value in the person remembering and doing. It's a waste of mental energy. So at that time also, I remember the project we did with one of the credit card companies, and that is where I remember this case also. They wanted us to create a system where when that agent is in front of the client, and this is not the current AI era, the one before when AI was really difficult. So we have to create a system where this guy can just in a subtle way speak the issue, what is the comparison between Suvidha card and that, and the answer will emerge, so that the continuity of that discussion happening with the customer is not hampered, and while at the same time answer is there. So this was known as a performance support. You don't make the person learn, and again with attrition and the industry, you have a 6-month training cycle. You have this person in his 3rd month already applying to other companies. The time he's ready, there was a lot of pressure. A lot of large companies face this. Okay, I'm training these guys, and the time we are about to reap whatever we've trained, this guy is gone. Now, with AI, suddenly that thing has relaxed. Because suddenly you have a question, it answers. It's almost treated like a genie. You have a question, it answers. And like Gajendra also said, not only that, the other dimension that comes along is this collective intelligence, this Mr. Copilot learning through and not forgetting like humans do, and being able to collect that knowledge and answer something broad, taking various context into mind. So those things have suddenly become super powerful when it comes to the way the whole AI will bring better performances. Now the problem will be a little side effect that people will be able to do with lesser knowledge, and they will depend a lot on these systems. So as to keep so naturally people will churn out. People who will actually, if you see the basic definition, if people ask all these great leaders, what will happen with AI, what will happen to the workforce, they're only saying this thing, and there's a common theme. They're saying that firstly, AI taking over is still not happen, will not happen for a long time, but it will be an assistive thing. So people who do not upgrade to this, suddenly everybody is being promoted to next level. Even a new joinee is no more a new joinee because they already have this tool under their belt as an intern. So these are small interns, AI interns working for everyone. So everybody suddenly got promoted, and there is a pressure because of that, which people will get used to. But the side effect, like I'm talking about, is that people may become lazy because then they want the AI lord to do everything. So in terms of how AI is going to impact tremendously well performance. So people will survive usage of performance support. You don't have to remember everything, but the challenge would be the critical knowledge. People will start reducing. Let's say people knew 33% and started operating. Now people expect 5%, and then can AI take us?
And Prasoon, just to add to it, Prasoon, I was reading somewhere, and it was like, the people with knowledge are reclaiming their lost land. It was like knowledge versus skills. Now suppose I don't have say Python coding skills, but I have knowledge, business context and all that. Now I don't need the skill to actually code, and I can just prompt some AI, and I can still get work done if I have the knowledge, like how the process work, what is the whole process, and all those things, the all toll gates and all those things, what all input, what should be my final output.
Yeah.
The skill is something which is, like knowledge is regaining. Maybe in last 10-15 years, skill has, kind of pushed knowledge a bit, on the lower side. And I was just reading a very interesting article that it's knowledge versus skill. So knowledge is now kind of regaining.
So this is very interesting. And another way to look at it is that what you called earlier as a skill and what you differentiated as knowledge now is the newer skill, So the skill now is to manage all these things, be able to instruct, be able to ask a question.
Yes.
Even if I remember in our meeting when I was probably second year in my job, there was a session where somebody trained us, if you're sitting in front of a senior management and you're silent, it creates a bad impression. So how do you ask a question even? So what I'm seeing is many people are developing this newer muscle of actually asking. Can you even ask a question? Because if I have that liberty to say that, let's say people have gone through this whole slavery for many years, and suddenly there's this, you're being seated as a master, you may still act like a slave method, So a lot of psychological things. So what was skill before, now the newer skills are these, to forget about coding, but to instruct, like you rightly said, your toll gates, your business parameters.
Yes.
That is the newer skill, and we all have
yes,
it. And I feel sometimes I have to remind myself that, why am I really, struggling with this problem? Why have I not asked GPT and consulted with GPT?
Yes.
So yeah, skill definitely has the center of equilibrium, again the physics, has shifted from that original skill to newer skills.
Yes, newer skills. And I think that people, if you have more context, you have more domain or business knowledge and all that, you tend to get some edge, because then you can prompt more effectively, you can ask more efficiently. So that's something which is, I think now I'm seeing that kind of shift happening now. Another thing you touched upon, Prasoon, is like, now you don't need to memorize. Like, it's not about, because memory will again, take us back to that completion. You will memorize, do some MCQs and perhaps, complete and pass and all that. Yeah. Now I'm seeing, like with AI coming in, there is such a strong intelligence layer being built in, wherein how effective you are able to do something, and if you are taking some more time to do something, you are able to do something in very less time, and basis that like what kind of work you are doing, that intelligence layer is kind of recommending courses for me. That is something happening, scrolling my work schedule, what kind of work I'm doing, what kind of mails I'm getting, it's so definitely we are going to a completely different era altogether.
Yeah.
I think we love how the conversation is going on free flowing, and we have a lot to discuss and a lot to unfold, but still I have just one final question, which is majorly revolved around what we are talking about, because as our viewers, there is a lot of uncertainty in today's environment, and there are a lot of challenges that certain people are facing. So for professionals who are in our industry, like who are in our roles, like instructional design, e-learning development, delivery management, or learning consulting roles, what is that one piece of advice that you would want to give them if they want to grow into a business transformation or leadership role? What are the things that they should be mindful of, or how they should upskill themselves? I'll start with you, Gajendra, and close with you, Prasoon, on this.
See, first thing, I think learn how to use AI. That's very important. And then especially in e-learning industry, like all major tools that we use now have some AI in some form. Maybe some have some plugins, some have built-in, and some form of AI is there. So that's why it's very important that you learn how to make use of AI. And another important thing is it is no more like how much course. And I think we were talking about it just before this question of your Tanusha. It's more about what kind of impact you are bringing. It is no more about completion, it is about the impact. So similarly, while you are developing the courses also, it is very important that you understand, you become more empathetic. Because then only you will be able to kind of realize, by creating this training, by creating this learning, what business problem I will solve for my customer. So if you start thinking like that, I think gone are the days if you create nice animation, you have excellent writing skills, you had fabulous English or any other language, then you have an edge as a as a learning professional. I think those days would be gone very soon, if not already. It is more about, because those things will be taken care by AI. The business context, the impact that you can bring into your learning is something which I would suggest the people, the coming generation, that they need to focus there.
Great. Your thoughts on this, Prasoon?
I think pretty much many of the points which Gajendra covered are the key messages for people in the industry, even for us to keep ourselves reminded on it, that of course this whole learning metrics, we should not limit ourselves to that. If you are at a decision maker level in terms of determining how your learning is going in your organization, it's very easy now. Shake up your vendors, get the right set of team around you which can give you performance analytics, and work on that if you're at that level. If you are an instructional designer and operator working on certain tools and technology, learn business language a little bit. Don't think that is just for your seniors, because other you will compete with a high speed AI and you. So don't put yourself there. Third important message I've seen, that L&D industry has always been about preparing the skill of your workforce for future. Future is AI. But the irony is that many L&D professionals, and no fault of theirs, they don't know even basic data analytics. So even if you have a learning analytics report in front of you, you should be knowing at least, maybe assisted way, how to analyze data. Very important, because how would you control if you don't know how to cut through and see the learning data? I see that very prominently, that many of the middle and senior leaders may not have that data, and you will depend on someone else. Third is that definition of productivity has changed. Another one is that everybody suddenly got promoted, so from slave become that master suddenly. Enjoy that upgrade rather than you acclimatize yourself to that newer things. And customer experience. See, customers are now, they have become aware that AI has reduced cost, AI has increased efficiency. So don't think that it's still a secret, only your customers know that. So of course they will expect the next level of everything. Your UI UX of your whatever you're delivering has to be good. The language, the instructional design components, the intervention, everything, and it's easy to do. So don't stay with the earlier reference. Whatever time you have left, if you're using AI tool, you get a lot of creativity time, play around and blend in some newer things, and the basically your outcomes will be that. And what else? I think that's it. AI is a magic. I mean, it's up to you if you want to see it as if you want to see it as like a bane. It's your choice. It's better to be visualizing what you really want. You want AI to be assisting you, so work alongside. That's the thing. So the future belongs to all the learning professional. Essentially, will connect to this human capability with business strategy is the summary line, I would say. Yeah.
And Prasoon, because we are talking about learning professionals, so if I simplify it, because if some learning professionals kind of hear us, See, if you are an instructional designer, for example, so if you were doing a storyboarding from a source content, then you need to upgrade yourself to a designer who was conceptualizing the course. Because if the content outline, the conceptualization is there, source content is there, trust me, you feed that into Copilot or something or any AI tool, the storyboarding will be done for you. You can adjust the tone and all that basis the audience and all that. So it is more about getting to know the audience, getting to know the relevance of what is important for that role and all that, rather than actually writing it. That is something will be taken away by. So in learning parlay, you need to be if you are an instructional designer, you need to be an instructional analyst. The demand for an instructional analyst will increase, because the core instructional designing work, perhaps storyboarding, if I become granular, it will be taken over by AI. So and similarly, if you are a media creator, then conceptualizing the theme and all that thing is something which you need to do, rather than once that theme is created, the template is created, filling that template is something which will be taken care by AI. So if I just kind of explain it in plain e-learning terminology, that's how the next generation is coming. They need to evolve.
So true. No, that's a very good addition. Yeah.
I think these are the experiences or insights, like these small nitty-gritties, that really would be helpful for our audience, who would really enjoy hearing about this insightful conversation. So firstly, thank you so much, Gajendra and Prasoon, for joining us. Just on a closing note, I would really like to say that what clearly stands out is that learning services are no longer just a delivery function. Now they are becoming a strategic growth engine where they connect customer success, workforce readiness, digital adoption, and measurable business outcomes that are very crucial. What I personally took away is that Gajendra's perspective, it shows that how learning leaders can evolve from managing delivery to shaping transformation. And on the other hand, Prasoon's view reminds us that technology, artificial intelligence, platforms, and even analytics are now central to making that transformation scalable and sustainable. So thank you so much for joining us. And this is Tanusha signing off from Stratbeans.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Thanks, Tanusha.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll meet again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.